You're listening to the Castle of Unspeakable Horrors podcast, where the only monsters are real monsters. And I'm your host, Ralph Eiderman. Before we cover today's topic, I need to issue a correction on the previous episode called The Spectre of Spokane. Well, I guess they investigated, and the Spectre he was just a new mailman. Yeah, kind of a letdown. Apologies for that. Before we start today's episode, let's take some calls, shall we? We got Amy from Woonsocket. Hello, Amy, you're on the air.
Ralph?
Speaking. What's on your mind today, caller?
Ralph?
Yep, still Ralph. What's going on, ma'am?
Ralph, I need help. Everywhere I look are apparitions. Figures and hands and mouths, reaching out, beckoning, ever beckoning.
Ever beckoning, you say? Put one of them on the phone.
Sure, hold on. Excuse me. He wants to talk to you.
Join us, Ralph.
Join you where? Hey, what you got? You throwing a birthday party? Be specific, my friend. I do not have all day.
Join us in the fires of Asmodeus. Azuzu beckons you. It will be delightfully horrible. The suffering will be the thing of legends. Your suffering will make the history books. An entire chapter will be dedicated just to your suffering alone. The suffering will be...
Hey, everybody. It's your boy, Ralph. Back again at the Ralph Castle, where I basically do whatever I feel like doing, but mostly I review horror movies. And today's movie is a doozy. It's a 2025 supernatural horror movie called Undertone. It's from Canada, which is, pretty much like the US, but normal, you know what I mean? And as I do every episode, for reasons I still don't really understand, I'm gonna start with my overall thoughts on the movie. Undertone is a cool little flick. Incredibly creepy. It was one of those rare movies where, when it was over, I had to turn up the lights a little brighter than usual. I even had to watch a whole last episode of One Punch Man, to reset my brain chemistry. A proper little spooky movie. So let's ride the sound waves into the heart of this little picture. Now, Undertone is about this lady, Evie. She's a podcaster by night and a troubled woman by day. She's living in a childhood home along with her dying mother. It's real cheery stuff, She spends a lot of time just moping around, and honestly, you can't blame her. I hate to say it, but I've been there. A quick reminder, give your mom a call, Call your old man. Just check in, will ya? What's the matter with you? I'll wait. Okay, you're back. How they holding up? Anyhow. So at night, Evie sets up a little podcast studio in this little kitchen. Her and her buddy Justin do one of them spooky podcasts. Now she's got to record at 3 a.m. because her buddy is in London. Honestly, it's really cool watching the behind the scenes of this stuff. Your boy Ralph spends quite a lot of time in his little studio with the microphone up in his grill, looking at sound waves and so forth. Now, Justin and Evie have an interesting dynamic. Justin is the true believer, no matter how stupid the premise. If it's supernatural, he's on board, Evie, on the other hand, is kind of a normal person, right? Probably because she's from Canada. She don't believe none of that nonsense. And why should she? It's not real. It never is. Now, I know that might sound rich coming from me, a reanimated skeleton, but trust me, is a perfectly logical scientific basis for my existence, okay? Maybe I'll get into it in another episode. Poor Evie. She has no idea that she's in one of them supernatural movies, you know, where all bets are off. How could she know? Anyhow, for the first episode they're recording, her boy Justin, you know, and we never see this guy, just hear his little soothing voice. He presents an email to her, which has 10 audio files attached. They agree to listen to them during the podcast, and it starts innocently enough. But as they work their way down the list, each audio file is a little weirder and a little creepier than the one before it. You know, and as they do this over a few episodes, Evie starts to experience weird stuff, even without her little headphones on. Now, this is not gonna be one of them spoiler reviews. I'm gonna stay away from it for a change. You know, I generally prefer to do those for them older, musty movies, where most folks have either already seen it or really don't have much interest in seeing it. So for Undertone, I'm just gonna speak generally about why I think this movie works as well as it does. Let's look at the setting, for example. This modest little home. It feels frozen in time, like a historical relic, perhaps a bit like a tomb. It's like wandering through a memory, and is filled with these odd light sources in dark corners. Maybe even it's a bit liminal, right? That's the thing people say. And then you have our girl Evie over here. She's struggling. And who isn't these days? And as the movie goes on, her personal struggles start to coincide with the struggles in the audio files. The pacing of this feels pretty organic, you know, like a bean sprout. It doesn't feel forced, you know, like my attempts at humor. And then finally, you have the audio itself. I meant every word I said in the thumbnail. You know, it wasn't clickbait. Well, it wasn't just clickbait. This is the scariest movie I've ever heard. The audio just keeps getting crazier as it goes, culminating in, oh geez, I should stop there. That's spoiler territory. I vowed to stay away. Whew, that was a close one. And, you know, as I said before, I'm a skeleton who spends a ton of time with audio production, whether I'm making these little videos, and even in my day job. Not only is the audio production in this movie utterly outstanding, it's done in a way that is surprisingly realistic to those of us in the business. Is there anything that doesn't work in this movie? Sure, it's not perfect. You know, for one, it's definitely a slow burn. Normally, that's a compliment, right? I like it when a movie takes its time and isn't looking to speed run to the scary bits. You know, looking at you, Conjuring movies. But this burn might be a little too slow for some people. It starts to feel a little slack in the middle part. You know, like it's kind of spinning its wheels a bit. But honestly, that's a minor nitpick, because the movie itself is pretty short. So my final score for Undertone is 3.5 stars out of 5. It is exceptionally spooky, and might just have you leaving your lights on after you watch it too. Okay, that's it for today's little video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope good things are coming your way. Take care, everybody. Bye.